Thank you, everyone, for joining. I'm Matea Weber. Just a little bit of an introduction. I'm a cosmetic scientist and end-to-end product developer. I've spent more than 20 years in the beauty industry within R&D, innovation, MPD, and regulation. And today I work independently with brands on their strategic product development. This webinar brings together Covalo and EcoShell. Covalo is a major ingredient discovery platform for the consumer goods industry. They have over 80,000 personal care ingredients listed on their platform, and they help connect brands and suppliers in a more transparent and innovation-led way. Then we also have EcoShell, who are a Californian grower and processor of walnut shell media, including refined cosmetic grade exfoliating materials that we will be discussing today. I'm also joined by Helen, who's the Director of Sales and Marketing for EcoShell, and Evelina, who's the founder and General Manager at Topical Skin. I'll hand it over to you, Helen, if you'd like to start and introduce yourself.
Sure. I'm Helen Cantrell, and I'm Director of Marketing and Sales here at EcoShell. I have 60 plus years in farming walnuts as a family operation, and I have 30 plus years in upcycling and developing markets for walnut shell. From everything, I always say, from everything from cosmetics to cat litter. We have industrial products along with a very refined group of particle sizes for the cosmetic industry as well.
Amazing. Thank you. And Evelina?
Yes. Oh, Helen, you're a tough act to follow. You have an amazing experience and a broad spectrum view of so many industries. Hi, everybody. I'm Evelina Ayosa. I'm the founder and general manager of Topical Skin, which is a clean dermocosmetic skincare brand. So I'm happy to bring the dermatologist perspective to the webinar. But beyond that, I'm very immersed into the beauty world, especially here in the United States. I have spent years, if not decades, on marketing and product development side for big beauty, L'Oreal being one of them, Pierre Fabre Dermocosmetics, and then also helping indie and emerging brands working with private equity firms and whatnot. So I'm happy to be joining and spreading the knowledge about the walnut shells because I'm a big fan, not only of walnuts, but now walnut shells for the beauty industry application.
Fantastic. Amazing. So just to go briefly through the outline today, we will be looking at the walnut shell exfoliation through a bit more of a modern lens. So we'll start with the science of gentle exfoliation and the so-called micro tear myth. Then we'll move into the EcoShell's particle engineering and formulation relevance, and then finally the sustainability story behind the ingredient. And at the end, we'll leave some time for the Q&A. So if you do have any questions, pop them in the Q&A tab. Yeah. And so to start us off, we've got a poll. So our poll question is, what barriers do you encounter when formulating with walnut shell ingredients? So is it more the concern of the harshness? Is it to do with consumer perception and the noise around us about the ingredient? Is it any formulatory challenges, so suspension, texture, stability, or are you looking more at the data, performance, and application? So let us know. Let's move forward. Evelina, off to you.
Wonderful. Okay, so on today's webinar, we're going to demystify some information that's been circling around for over a decade about, harshness of walnut scrubs or seed scrubs in general. But today we'll also explore the science of gentle exfoliation, and hopefully we'll also break some, myths when it comes to the micro tear miscommunication that has been, out there in the industry. Next slide.
Okay, so before we go on. Before we go deeper into, Evelina and Helen will be talking about the exfoliation, but just to break the foundation of where all the criticism came for this ingredient. It really started with the St. Ives apricot scrubs conversation and the Unilever case in the US, which was ultimately dismissed in 2018 when the plaintiffs were not able to substantiate micro tears as a defined and measurable injury. And so it's really important for us formulators to look at what's happened and the public fear, because it really grew when there wasn't any scientific clarification towards it.
Yes.
Yes, and I think the original backlash was against the uncontrolled, coarse, irregular particles
Yeah.
used with high frequency, not necessarily against the walnut kernel per se, right? Or the ingredient concept. It was about, okay, how was it processed? So it's very interesting to highlight the formulation science, moving away from what to how, because when it comes to particle size and distribution, shape, hardness, loading level, I think that's what makes the formula efficacious and efficacious, and also the right usage on a regular basis. So I don't think the problem was never a walnut as a plant. It was just poorly controlled particle engineering plus consumer overuse. I mean, scent Ives has been around for a while, and I feel like the negative connotation stayed with us and it translated unfairly onto the walnut, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
thank God we have Helen here with us, and she's a wealth of knowledge, and she'll be able to set the record straight finally.
Yes. Yeah. Interesting enough, the St. Ives, when it actually started in the marketplace many years ago, they were actually using apricot shell as the exfoliant. And apricot is much thicker particle, more cubic when it grinds, therefore it has more edge. When we initially started introducing the walnut shell into St. Ives, we had an innovative grinding process that actually rounded the edges of the particle to make our walnut shell more pearlized. So we'll talk more about it in depth as we move through the webinar. But interesting enough is that bad notation is still out in I'm going to call it Google research because that's what people typically do. So you still see a lot of that negativity in the marketplace, and there are different grinders in the world. We're few and far between on the walnut shell side of the business. And if they're sourcing from other grinders, those grinders definitely still do have angular particles. But we've been doing this for over 30 years now, and we have sort of perfected the shape and the distribution but now we just need more public awareness to that because we are always being asked the question. So we thought this would be probably one of the best ways to get it out there into the marketplace. There are all sorts of different kinds of natural products to use. I mean, we have sugars, sea salt, oatmeal, olive pit, coffee, all sorts of different ground fruit seeds and ground nuts, and some more unique things coming into the market every year. When we go to these trade shows, we see a lot of different unique things. But the nice thing about the walnut shell is the volume that is available here in California.
It's nice to hear that there's actually an art and science to processing walnut
There is.
shell, right? And you guys are not only in raw material, selling space, but also in milling process, and you have patented this process, which we're
Yes.
going to learn more about. So you're not going to only learn about, hey, what's correct for use in a scrub formulation, but why eco shell is the right choice when it comes to providing the material for your scrub bases. And it's interesting to see because, scrubs have been around for forever, since the beginning of times, and they are not going nowhere. Thankfully, the chemistry and the plethora of ingredients that are available on the market, it's ever expanding from dermocosmetic point of view. We know that dermatologists, estheticians, they love to include mechanical and also chemical scrubs into the treatment room protocols and in facial skincare regimens. From derm perspective, they love to use enzymes and acids, HAs, BHAs. However, they also are a fan of mechanical exfoliation because as skin ages, and obviously we age on a daily basis, cell turnover process also slows down. So we do need to, help and give it a boost a little bit with mechanical and chemical scrub. So I am so excited to hear and learn more from you, Helen, and to hear how the companies and brands you partner with utilizing the walnut shell in scrub formulations, and not only facial scrubbing but also the body and beyond. So I would love to hand it off to you to tell us more about the modern exfoliation best practices and why people should be looking at particle shape and size distribution, concentration, suspension systems. But it's not only about the ingredient, but it's the ecosystem of the ingredient that it's being encapsulated into.
Yes, definitely. So first we can start off with the size distribution and choice. We work with people all around the world in R&D in developing formulations. So samples are sent out, various different sizes. We always get the question is, what size do we use? So you have many choices as a formulator, and it's hard for me. I can only just sort of semi-direct you to a size because it's all about the touch and feel, what you're looking for in that formulation. We can go aggressive for a foot scrub, and we can go ultra fine for powder foundations, lip exfoliants, what you call sensitive skin formulation. So it really is depending on what you're trying to build. We do everything from, believe it or not, scalp scrubs, face scrubs, body, feet, hands, a lot of mechanical hand, industrial hand scrubs as well. We're even in toothpaste as a polishing,
Right. Agent.
basically, for a polishing agent in toothpaste. And it's nice thing about it, it is an all natural product. So if you're going into a natural formulation, it is definitely something that can be looked at
Mhm.
for any of those applications.
I love the fact that you've mentioned different applications because I feel like, based on the scent Ives example, we are automatically associating scrubs, facial scrubs, but there's body, beyond body, there's scalp care, there's a skinification
Yes.
of scalp care going on too. So hopefully we will get to influence or inspire some of the people in our webinars to maybe look into product development beyond what is obvious. Helen, I got a privilege of sampling some of your wonderful
Yes.
walnut shells, and it's hard to show it maybe on camera, but you will see a different samples of particle size of the walnut shell from very, very microfine powder, which you can use, as Helen mentioned, in powder formulations, foundations, to very, very coarse and rough. Again, it's
Yeah.
really hard to show on camera, but this is what she means by saying, hey, we send out samples all day long. So R&D from big beauty, but also emerging smaller beauty brands can determine what's suitable for their formulation needs and their development pipeline.
Yes, absolutely. It's the we get it depending on where you are in the world as well, different needs. We find interesting because I do know I believe I had somebody here from Africa. We do find they in their foot scrubs they tend to go even coarser spectrum than what typically is found in the cosmetic industry. That's just in their marketplace. So keep in mind we have a wide variety and range of particle sizes, and we also custom grind as well to develop formulas
Mhm.
or product particle size for customers to meet their needs. So it is, it's all part of the developing process of that formula. When you're developing a formula, the load is really going to be based off of the formulator's desire or the formulator's feel. We have some products that are loaded heavy. We have, depending on application, like your industrial mechanic scrubs, they're fairly loaded heavy. They tend to be, believe it or not, they're loaded heavy, but they tend to be on a finer particle size. So they have more inclusion of the walnut shell, and it is finer just for more scrub. They don't necessarily go coarse on the industrial. They actually just load the particle heavier into the product. It can go into any type of base. That's the unique thing about walnut shell. It can go to any type of base, from your gels. We've even had it in oils, believe it or not. St. Ives launched an oil several years ago, and it suspends well just about in everything that's there. It works in bar soaps, it works in gels, it works in powder form as well. So if people want powder add water to in the shower type of application. So we've had experience across many different bases, and we don't see, the unique thing about walnut shell is its surface absorbs only, so it doesn't get soft, it doesn't turn to sponge or anything, it stays in the formula. When, unlike, sugars and salts and things like that, they disappear real quick. So it is a real effective workhorse when it comes into a foundation. And some things I like to point out is you definitely can use your imagination on your formulation. And I'm going to sort of cite one of my favorites. It's a strawberry scrub. It smells like strawberry, the color of strawberry, and it looks like it has strawberry seeds in it, but it's a body scrub. So what they have done with that, and it's a gel form. So what they've done with that is they put in a kiwi seed to make it look like it's strawberry, and it smells like strawberry. But the workhorse that's in that gel is walnut shell, and that's what's doing the exfoliation. So
It's amazing to hear. We can, kind of analyze the formula. Marketers love to obviously position it as something very sensory, and you
yes,
automatically assume that, hey, we are talking about strawberry seeds, but it's far from the truth. It's actually the walnut shell.
yeah,
And it's amazing to hear that it also absorbs color, right? Helen, I don't know if you touched on this topic, but if you
yes,
are in, maybe marketing to the younger population, which loves the sensorial colors and textures, and you want to
yes,
stand out on Sephora shelf, walnut shells are ideal because they will absorb the color of your choice, and they will still, hold its texture, right?
yes, yeah. And I mean, your base can be of any color as well. I mean, we see purples, lavenders, a lot of beige and brown colors because of natural. A lot of people are producing natural scrubs. They want that natural appearance and they want that speckle in there because it's natural. So it can go into any color type of formulation as well.
And for professionals like Matea, who lives and breathes product development for her clientele, I think it's music to her ears to hear that, EcoShell doesn't shy away from custom development. So if any of the samples that you receive in mail are not suitable for your formula, you want something even finer, or if you want something in between, they are willing to custom develop the ideal particle size of a walnut shell so it can be utilize or purpose for your brand, for your formulations, and it could be exclusive to you, correct, Helen?
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a
Because you
very
guys work with
versatile
the
ingredient.
ingredient, yes.
Yeah, I have. There's a couple of questions coming through about the use of rice scrubs. You know, we have seen rice hull, we've seen corn cob, we've seen. I mean, there probably isn't much of anything I haven't seen. But going to the international trade shows and things, you get a lot of these niche markets that are out there for because people are trying to upcycle. I mean, that's the latest thing is upcycling products, and it can be even a forest waste, something that's a seed that's found in the forest. So lots of different types of applications, and some are going to be more harsh. It's just a fact of life that when you start milling and grinding, depending on the composition of the product you're grinding, walnut shell is a very elastic product. It resists breakdown. So when you're grinding it, it tends to break instead of grind into a flour. So when it's breaking, that's what's causing that sharp edge. So if you're not familiar with milling applications, we use 4 to 5 different mills here to achieve what we need to achieve. So we start with just the crushing side of it, and then we actually perfect it into that pearlized form through a series of processes and milling applications.
Mhm.
I also see somebody here that's asking about the possibility of it sticking in the tub if there's residual leftover and things like that. To be honest with you, the inclusion rate when you're using it in a body scrub really isn't high volume. So you tip in a tub. It doesn't have any type of ability to stick. It flows very well. It's biodegradable in septic and sewer systems. So it's the reason why we've gone away from the microplastics to naturals is strictly for biodegradability, wastewater treatment, and things like that. So it is definitely a biodegradable product that will biodegrade
For
as well.
homeowners with a septic system, that's kind of like, music to our ears.
Yes.
Yeah, because those could be very costly.
Yeah. And it's not like you're putting, pounds of product a year in your septic either. When you start looking at how many bottles of body scrub you use and what the inclusion rate is, honestly, some of these products on the market might have as much as a tablespoon of walnut shell in them. It
Mhm.
just really depends on your inclusion rate. So it's really not it's not super high volume inclusion in most cases.
Mhm. All right. Well, it sounds to me like the walnut shell is more appropriate as a positioning as like a precision instrument or tool in product development's toolbox, because you can really customize it to so many different formulation types, textures, and applications. So I love the precision part. It's not your typical old school scrub technology that we used to have access to back in the day. Now we are talking about really sophisticated morphology of the walnut shell.
Yes, that's correct. You know, when we're out in the marketplace quite a bit in cosmetic shows. As a matter of fact, we're in New York this week. I stayed back because I have other obligations here, but normally I'm out on the road too. It's Suppliers Day, so we one of the interesting things is we always have people come up to us and they say, "Well, do you do apricot shell? Do you do?" Any other product, because they find it very difficult when they walk up to somebody that does nothing but walnut, right? So no, we are 100% walnut. We don't do anything else, but people are always looking for something different. And my answer to that something different is it available? Price and particle size and distribution, because what you're going to find in these products that are niche products is your cost is going to be exorbitant. It's going to be supply issues as well. I know just apricot shell in general, most of it comes from Turkey, believe it or not, because that's the world, most of the world market is from Turkey. And they're limited on tonnage because, believe it or not, the apricot, what they call shell or pit, inside of there is a kernel that's used for cancer treatment. So they store those seeds as long as they possibly can on demand of the seed that's inside to keep it integrity.
Protected.
So it can be available year round. It may not be year round. So the issue is with EcoShell, what I can say with EcoShell, we're one of the world's largest growers, packers, and producers. We have 16,000 acres as a family. We buy from 400 growers in California. 98% of the U.S. crop is grown in California. The other 2% is Oregon and Washington. And so we're right in the heart of the supply. And as a family, we started farming in the early 60s as a family and have grown into a vertically integrated group of family businesses now. So what we sell, we do sell the walnuts in the shell, we sell the kernels, and in that process of extracting the kernels, we actually upcycle the walnut shell. So this whole process has started since 1995 here at EcoShell, just out of the need of upcycling the waste materials coming from our cracking facility. So that's where my position came into the family side of business. I have three other siblings, and we all have our own roof to support. And I've been in the byproducts division and developing markets for over 30 years now. So that's where this all comes into place, is we process over 80,000 tons of walnut shell annually.
And nothing goes to waste because you found a way to do it
Exactly.
sustainably and support.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great to hear. Yeah.
So the availability year round. We work year
Mhm.
round here at our facilities. Even though the crop is a month a year, we work year round in grinding and sizing and supplying marketplaces around the world. So the availability is there. The cost is inexpensive. The inclusion is minimal. So when you start comparing, I understand most people want these other niches, but there are ways to use that niche, but also use the walnut shell as the workhorse. So you could use a small inclusion of the niche, say you want to call it a special scrub name or something, and then use the actual walnut shell as the workhorse in it. Like, for instance, the strawberry scrub using the kiwi seed. So there are all sorts of ways around still using that niche product, but volume wise, using walnut shell as the workhorse.
And supporting family business in the process, which
Yeah,
we love, right? We
yes,
don't support a
absolutely.
corporation, but a family business.
Yeah.
That's
Yes. Real quick, we have a question here. You talk about using on the body. Is it too harsh for the face? No, absolutely not. We have several different particle sizes available. We can go down into sensitive skin. It's just really the particle sizes. If you're looking at the presentation here. 3560 being the coarser spectrum of the rounded particle, down to the 7200 is for a sensitive skin type. The flowers at the bottom, -100, -200, -325, those are probably better for masks and clays and things like that, or compacts. Those are very fine. The -325 is about 10 times finer than table flower. You have a choice. Now, these are just a sample of choices. We have other ones in between, few and far. We have several sizes. These are the most common in the marketplace. The most commonly used on the face will be a 4100 or 6100, depending on the feel you prefer, but you can go to a 7200 for sensitive skin. They're all rounded particle sizes. That's what's really important to address. These are all little pearls when you look at them up close. We will have there you goes, picture of them up close. They're just pearlized. So the edges have been removed off. Another question that popped up is tree nut allergies. I love to address this one because this comes up all the time. Tree nut allergies. Let's just put it this way. I think it's like 99.7%. It's actually, no, 99.9% probably of the population. Allergy is from the proteins that are in the kernel, and the kernel is ingested. Okay. There is a fraction of 1% of people that are anaphylactic to lots of different things. You could be shellfish, walnut, any nut, milk, eggs, different things you can be anaphylactic to. The only time that issue really comes into play is in the production side of the business. When you take raw material and you potentially could have an airborne particle and you have somebody working for you that's anaphylactic. That's where that will come into play on an allergen. So it's really, we always stress it's really important in any good manufacturing processes. Employees need to know what they're working with at all times, be it a chemical, be it a Prop 65 chemical, or something that they need to be aware of. So walnut shell would be one of those things that you should make public knowledge what it is, just because you could have somebody that could be anaphylactic to it. And like I said, it's literally a fraction of 1%. Population wise. And most people that are anaphylactic know they are. Now, when you put that walnut shell into an ingredient, that all goes away. There's no airborne proteins once it's in a formula. So the interesting thing, we always get the allergen issue. We've been doing this for, like I said, 30 years in the cosmetic industry. We've never had a single case presented to us as an allergen.
So it was just on a previous slide, just a quick note, especially with dermatologists and then dermocosmetic perspective. I feel like a lot of dermoceuticals, skin barrier led. So we always worry about not disrupting the skin barrier, the lipid barrier, not causing any tears. And I feel like back in the day, derms were warning against use of harsh scrubs because they were associated with like a sandpaper feel. But because echo shell, walnut particles are pearlized. So you can just think about, like round spherical, particles. They are not harsh. Some of them are so almost like a microfine powder, but you wouldn't even feel it on your face. It does have this sensorial effect and it does act as an exfoliant, but it's as gentle as it gets. So when it comes to skin sensitivities, you don't have to worry as long as you pick the right particle size for your formulation, and you can apply it in the facial products, you can apply it for the body products, scalp care, and the list goes on and on.
Yes,
so it's interesting to know that you have developed this pearlization process. So when you think about eco shell, think about the pearls, walnut shell pearls.
Yes, it's taken many years to perfect it. And what drove us to this perfecting it is the Unilever case that was out there. And we still see it. And we're still seeing people post because, and we know it's competition that's going out, jojoba beads, things like that. They continually attack the walnut shells to this day as aggressive and microdermabrasions and all sorts of fun things. But just since January, I think we've been attacked like 6 or 7 times in major postings. So a lot of that's driven by competition. I'm not saying it's just something we wouldn't do in ourselves, but we just want to make sure and stay out verbal with it and let people understand. And if you receive a kit or want a kit and request a kit from us, sales@ecoshell.com, and you can request a kit. There's also on our website a web page that you can request that kit. You can get that kit and feel it yourself. It's super soft when you feel it, when you run it between your fingers. It's a very soft particle.
Well, I guess people always need a villain, right? So even if you are being targeted, you have to consider the source and
Yes,
always go right. And there's a reason why you guys owe a patent, right, on the milling process. You like you
absolutely.
said, you've perfected it. I think for you, it has been like a healthy obsession to deliver to the industry a solution that it's eco-friendly, but it's also applicable for different applications.
And one more thing I wanted to point out too is a lot of people, when you start talking about the natural cosmetics and chemical cosmetics and things like that, interesting enough, walnut shell is not a chemical. So we don't fall, nor is it chemically processed. So we don't fall under the common SDS requirements that are out around the world. We do maintain some certifications, just about every kind of certification imaginable that you can think of. Some of the key ones that you see on the screen, EcoCert. We are also EcoCert in China. We have our products listed, licensed in China for formulation there as well, and mainly because, and we have the various different leaping bunnies. We're pesticide free, we're chemical free, we're metal free, on and on it goes. We maintain those tests annually to confirm and verify the source. We have all the information to back all that. But a lot of people, it's really funny because when we talk with formulators, a lot of people just really don't understand what they're using, and they want a certification of chemical. What's the harmonized code for it? Well, there isn't one because it's not a chemical, it's all natural. So through that process, we do maintain a lot of variations in tests to back our claims. One more thing, I see a question come through about the pearlization process change how the particle suspends or behaves in different systems. It has really no effect on any type of distribution or suspension in the product. Okay. The next screen is coming up here about basically talking about personal care and many different applications out there. We sort of have already hit on that. Yeah, beyond traditional scrub on the shelves, moving beyond conventional scrub application and finding new opportunities. You were always looking for some new innovative use. So we do a lot of R&D projects out there. Something not coming into the marketplace, which isn't really in the US at this point yet, natural toothpaste. We're in many other countries, but not in the US yet. We're still waiting for that one to pop through into the US. There's all sorts of natural toothpaste out there, but they're using talc, and walnut shell's a perfect polishing replacement for a natural on that as well. Talc can be sometimes hard to source. It's coming in from many other countries, but on the other hand, it is probably less expensive, but unique to the industry would be walnut shell into toothpaste. Other things, a lot of scrubs coming in. We're working on many different scalp scrubs currently, which are everything from removing mites and things out of the scalp in children, medicated scrubs and things like that. So a very fascinating application there. We're also looking at a lot of different powders and foundations, lip exfoliants, a lot of masks as well. So, and anything else, we call it thinking outside the box. We're here to help.
Question with formulation and the possibility of using the scrub. At the moment, it's very popular to have acid toners. So you get the exfoliation through an acid. With formulations which are of such low viscosity, would a walnut scrub ingredient work?
Low viscosity, would it suspend well?
Yeah,
I'm just thinking application wise. I'm going to say it depends on the viscosity. If it's liquid like water, it might not suspend well.
probably not.
It
Okay.
might go to the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe
But
some.
I mean, I've seen medium viscosities that work well,
Mhm.
but something that is similar to water, it might just sink to the bottom. It's not going
It's
to float. It'll definitely sink. Yeah.
too low. It needs a suspending agent possibly in there to help it.
Yes. Somebody's chimed in and asking about, and you'll have to bear with me because I'm not sure what it is. Squalene? Do you ladies know what that is?
Oh, it's an emollient. It's an oil. It's sort of a emollient ester.
like an oil.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't.
Yeah, it's perfect for like acneic skin.
Yeah, if it's a oil consistency, it'll suspend without a problem.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Okay.
I'm
So.
not a scientist. I'm not a scientist. Believe it or not, I'm a farmer at heart. So, but I have some exceptional sons that are scientists that we work a lot on chemical makeup for different applications around the world. I mean, we're in all sorts of different applications from, believe it or not, plastic replacement this day and age. We do a lot of injection molded plastics where we're reducing the amount of plastics going into products. Say, for instance, a plastic chair that you might have outdoors in your garden. You know, we can deplete about 30% of the use of plastics in those products. So lots of fun applications,
Endless applications for the walnut
endless
shell. That's
applications.
exactly,
Yes,
yeah. But to answer your question, also we encourage people to prototype, right, with your
yes.
material. And I feel like you have such a vast knowledge. You can probably share best practices, knowing on, based on your other customers' application, what works best, which particle size is best for what type of formulation, and which kind of base and things of that nature. Like I said, don't shy away from asking questions. Between Mateja and Helen, I think you will get some kind of answer or direction.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Don't feel free to reach out. We like to start with the kit for particle size, just so you can get a touch and a feel of the particles, and then we'll definitely supply you larger quantities to do your trials and tribulations. I mean, we do, like I said, we typically start small with everybody. Don't be afraid if you think this is going to be, something starting out small. We definitely start small, and we go all the way up to Fortune 500 companies. It's all part of developing that market and developing a product. We're not afraid to start with small quantity to help develop and build that market with you. A couple of other things to address is that, it is a natural product as well. You can either you in your formulations, you're going to have something to deal with the biological issues because of its natural product. You can either add natural preservatives, chemical preservatives. We also offer gamma treatment. We don't do the gamma treatment ourselves, but we have a contract with Sterigenics, and we do a gamma treat as well for those that want gamma treatment. Now,
Yeah.
we'll talk sustainability one more time, just because it's my claim to fame is we were sustainable before sustainability was a thing in the market. So basically, as we started farming, my dad drafted into the Navy at the age of 18, came out of the Navy and realized he wanted to farm. So he headed north looking for land to purchase. And we started on a very small plot of 20 acres as a family. And through the years, we bought more parcels to where the homestead itself is about 275 acres. And through that course of growing and always selling our crop to other companies, my father realized that the marketplace adjusted so much that he thought, you know what, I'm going to load these in the back of my truck. I'm going to take off on a road trip. I'm going to sell my own crop. Well, it seemed to work. So through that process of him going into business for himself and not relying on the marketplace to make the income to support the farming operation, we started processing ourselves and selling our own brand. And the brand is Crane of California. And through that process of building those businesses, we realized that the end shell isn't always a perfect nut. So some of those have to be cracked out and the kernels have to be sold. So my oldest brother endeavored to take on that business of shelling the walnuts. So he took all the offal out of the imperfected walnuts that didn't make great in shell, and he started shelling them to sell the kernels. And through that process of growing his market, the problem is we had so much walnut shell, we didn't know what to do with it. So originally it was going to landfill. Then it went to burning in the field, and neither one of those are good for the environment. So we developed the EcoShell came to fruition in 1995 to deal with the volume of walnut shell. So that's where the upcycling portion came in, was in 1995. And through that process, being vertically integrated and finding markets for the product, we fit right in with the whole sustainability movement. On top of the sustainability side, we'll talk about the farming applications. Here in California, California is probably the most regulated state in the world. any place in the world, I'm going to say. So we have a lot of rules and guidelines about pesticides, herbicides, and things like that. So we are, we aren't organically grown, but let me just tell you, we're near organically grown. We don't use the pesticides and herbicides. We do everything natural. The mowing processes, watering processes are very engineered to, walnuts don't like a lot of water. They like just surface water underneath because they're Mediterranean. So we highly regulated on our water supply to the trees to keep them healthy, because the longevity of a tree can be 60 years. So you got to keep that tree healthy to get a healthy nut. We mow every other road to keep the live insects in the fields. We don't put fertilizers in the ground. We use natural products. We only feed the trees as needed. We do a lot of soil testing. So as a family, we're very highly um, educated. We replenish the soils. We're not over farming and overproducing. So we're very conscientious of the whole farming operation itself. Matter of fact, we held a sustainability license at our food grade facilities because of our ability to grow, farm, and all of the above, labor, and the whole package for sustainability. We are very in tune to agricultural and being sustainable farmers.
It's amazing to see how much the company evolved and how you actually expanded your reach into so many different facets of many different
Yes.
industries. And sustainability at its core before became mainstream conversation. We
Yes.
applaud you guys for that.
Yes.
I have a question for Mateja as a product developer. Like, what are your initial thoughts before we even connected online and learn about, the gamut of things you can do with the walnut shell? Like, what was your perception? Did it change ever since speaking with Helen?
No, I mean I'm seeing it as a lot more versatile of a ingredient than other scrub particles. When I worked in the lab, a lot of the time was the suspension issue. You needed to be able to suspend the particles really well within the formula. So, the eco shell version just makes it easier for you, for the chemist. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
very, very, very versatile ingredient and seems very easy to use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It checks so many boxes, right? For product developer, cosmetic chemist, for
Yeah,
the marketer, for the consumer as well.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a
yeah.
no-brainer, but
So another thing I didn't point out, which I don't, UC Davis did some testing for us, some research and development for us. We work very close with UC Davis and Michigan State, just because they're agricultural campuses in the U.S., but we work very close with UC Davis because they do the tree side. Interesting enough, we had them do some research and development on a walnut shell for polyphenols, because walnuts are very, very high in polyphenols. And the
Mm.
interesting part about the polyphenol, the skin of the kernel is very high, but the shell has quite a bit of polyphenol, residual polyphenol in it as well. And
interesting.
those papers are available through UC Davis. So it is an interesting concept. People are working now about for extraction through the shell as well in the cosmetic industry. So, a lot of things are happening scientifically as we advance in this world today.
Yeah.
Um, it's pretty crazy on the science side of business.
If we are hosting this webinar a year from now, we'll probably find new indications for your
Yes,
beautiful product, right?
yes,
Yeah.
And
yes,
just Drew is excited to request a sample kit. That's
yes.
wonderful. And Jennifer is asking, do you have a representative in South Africa?
We don't actually have a physical representative in South Africa, but you can reach out to us anytime on email, whatever's easiest for you, and we can help you here from California. We actually don't have, as far as representative, maybe you're talking about a distributor, possibly. I don't believe I have a distributor in South Africa, but I'd have to check, because I believe recently we had visited somebody at the trade show in Paris that was interested in becoming a distributor in South Africa. So I hope that answers your question.
Mm-hmm.
And those of you that want samples, just reach out to us, either sales@ecoshell.com. That's the easiest way to hit the group. And also on www.ecoshell.com, there is a web page where you can request samples.
So we have a few more minutes left. So I have a question for you, Helen, because now that I heard you speak for the second time, because we had the prep call, obviously, before this webinar, I'm just thinking from dermatology perspective, there's so many people with, skin conditions, skin concerns between obviously like KP, maybe to eczema. Do you think one can formulate like a skin barrier friendly scrub product using EcoShell raw material? The skin barrier seems to be like the topic, high topic. We want to make sure we don't disrupt the skin barrier. We will make sure we don't want to affect the carnocytes too much. Do you think with their pearlized particle, it's fine?
I absolutely think you can. You just need to go to the finer spectrums of the shell, because the smaller the particle, the better, and then you get down to inclusion. You might even be able to use that -100 material in a product like that.
That's interesting, yes.
Yeah,
And
that's very,
for me, it
very
was an
fun.
aha moment to learn. Yeah, for me, it was an aha moment to learn. But even the Sand Eye scrub, which is known for, having the apricot scrub, it actually uses the walnut, right, shell for the scrubbing function. And it only has the apricot, what is it,
Essence.
scent or extract, right? So
Yeah, they
obviously
use
the
apricot
smell.
essence for the smell, and they use walnut shell as the. And here in the States now, we do have a sensitive skin formula for St. Ives. So they have gone to a sensitive skin formulation as well, which is
Right,
finer. I
So
think it's
they
right.
called
use the
avocado scrub or something.
-100.
No, they have just stepped to a finer grade, from the medium grade to a fine grade. So
Okay.
as you saw in the particle sizes there, we have 6,200. We have some that aren't even showing. We have 6,200, 10.5. We have 7,200. We have
Mm.
8,140. So there's a whole range. So the interesting thing about this dimension sizes, those are US sieve sizes. So a way to look at those sizes and in your mind is, if you see a 60, what that 60 indicates is there's 60 holes in 1 lineal inch of wire screen, sort of like a window, say a window screen, right? So think of 60 holes in a 1 lineal inch of wire screen. So that's what those sizings are indicating. So a 6,100 would mean 60 holes per lineal inch up to 100 holes per lineal inch. So that sort of helps you determine. The 3560, of course, is coarse. Coarse
Yeah.
material would be the typical foot scrub
Yeah.
size. So going finer, the number actually gets bigger the finer you go. So that sort of helps you understand the particle size. And of course, there is a true dimension to that size as well. On our website, those sizes are available in inch and micron as well. So the size choice is really going to come down to, like what you said. If you don't want to disrupt the skin, then you really need to go finer, and you really need to analyze your inclusion rate.
Yeah. And also the whole the
Right.
total formulation, the base formula.
The
So it
total
works.
formulation.
Yeah.
Correct. Well, here's one. If the product is using micronized walnut shells, some of the dry surface, we got that one in the shower and tub. The original poll question, what was that again?
So that was asking
What are
what
barriers
barriers
you
do
encounter
you
with formulating?
encounter? What barriers do you encounter when formulating with walnut shell
Okay.
ingredients?
So negative. Okay. So concerns about skin harshness. We've dealt with that one. It's really all about particle size choice.
Yeah.
It's about your supplier as well. Keep that in mind. There could be different suppliers around the world. Like I said, we are the world's largest. However, there are some sidekicks that are out there that are attempting to do the same thing with hazelnut shell, with all sorts of different kind of products. So it's really critical to really look at the supplier and look at the particle you're using. Negative consumer perception around scrubs. I think we've sort of gotten over that. I think more the negative perception is not a consumer issue as it is a formulator's issue at this point in time. Because if you look at the market today, there are many different wellness scrubs on the marketplace. They all just sort of all have their own niche variations, from small companies, localized markets, to Fortune 500, industrial use as well. So I think that I don't think the consumer perception is really the issue more so than knowledge of walnut and trying to correct that in the marketplace as much as you can in the business side of business.
Yeah. I think Walnut was just guilty by association.
It was guilty by association.
Yeah.
So limited data on performance and application versatility. You know, we have all kinds of information specific to the needs of a formulator. Best thing to do is reach out, let us know what you're trying to achieve, what your concept is, and then we'll attempt to choose maybe 2 or 3 sizes that would work for you. I mean, I'm not opposed to sending 6 if I have to. It really just depends on the formulator and what they want to achieve.
Yeah. And I also think,
And
just
like
to
we said,
add,
you
when
guys
it
bring.
comes, sorry, add when it
No,
comes
go ahead,
to
Matea. No,
product
no.
when it comes to product performance, it's never really one ingredient. You need to look at the entire formulation. You know, a gel with a
Yes.
walnut shell is going to perform differently to a high viscosity cream with velvety sensorial texture. So it's very
Yes.
much dependent on the product, the base formulation that you add the walnut shell to.
Correct. And
All right,
we're
great.
just the small ingredient to it, but we definitely can be a workhorse for you in any ingredient on the formulation side.
Small but mighty, and
Small but mighty.
often copied, but no, not truly duplicated. So often
Yes.
imitated, but not duplicated. So if anything, it's complement to whatever you guys are doing. You're doing something
Yes.
right.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
And
thank you.
don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to mix it with something. You know, if you want to do a coffee scrub and you instead of using all coffee grounds because of the availability, you can always use that coffee as a accent piece, and then use your walnut shell as a workhorse.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's a good
Amazing.
idea, right? Divide and conquer.
Yeah, divide and conquer. Yes. Okay, and just reach out if anybody has any questions or concerns, and we'll help you through that process.
Thank you all for joining us. We hope you had a great time and walked away with some pearls and something that you can put into practice.
Yes,
We definitely enjoyed our conversation.
great. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Matea. Thank you,
All right.
Thanks.
Helen. Thank you,
Thank you. All
Covalo
right.
team. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye bye.